Goeiemôre almal. Geduldig gewag het vir hierdie weergawe van ons verslag. We also welcome Zandile this morning. Zandile, you were missing on the previous meeting. What happened to you? Can you just tell the people who you are?
No, I had to help a client. That's the only reason. I had to make sure that we give the best service to our clients. That's the only reason I was not around.
I'm glad to see you back. That's what House of Fiber is all about. Thank you for that. Sandile will do a bit of a translation for us to our Xhosa speaking people and Zulu speaking people. And because they are a very important part of our business, and we would like everybody to know what is going on in our Mohair world. Yesterday's sale, just to give a brief summary, was a bit of a surprise to me, a nasty surprise, and I don't like nasty surprises, with especially the kit market coming down, experiencing some downward pressure. But there I also must say, it is not the end of the world. I have received numerous calls this morning. What is going on? And people, I think you must go and read my written report as well, that went out this morning or last night. I think it's more a financing problem than really a demand problem. And unfortunately, the kids took the brunt of it, because you can buy far more kilos of mohair if you buy the cheaper mohair, which is the adults. And we could see that yesterday. The adults actually went up in price, which was quite a good thing yet for us or for everybody. And but you could see there was very good demand there. So it's not the end of the world. I don't think people must overreact. We are basically on the same level as on the first sale, and we are only on the third sale of the season. So it was a previous sale that went up, but I think that is catching up to the buyers at the moment is the quantities that we offer. And a bit of a surprise again, that is a pleasant surprise, is that if you compare with the mohair received from last year this time, we're up with over 10%, and in the summer season we were up 13%. And that puts pressure on the market. But there at the end, it's nothing too serious. Things will even out yet later in the season. I must say we've closed House of Fiber and BKB closed the last two sales 3 days before we are actually the scheduled closure of our catalog, and it's still not enough. We are still about 10-15% over. So, but I think from the next sale onwards, it will improve. Sandile, perhaps if you can just put in a few words what I've just said now.
All right. Mandi kahlele kuri nonke kwela kaXhosa ngikhuleke kunina bakwaZulu. Njengoba sekuchaziwe ukuthi isimo sezisemakethe ebesithengisa kuyona izolo sikhombise ukwehla kwamanani. Lokhu kudalwe ukuthi sithe xa sijonge into yobana uboya bokuninzi nenani la uhlika because besibuninzi boya besinabo ebeku on offer. Sikhumbule into yobana kulula uthenga uboya obunentengo ephansi, obunemali ephansi, bube buningi njenge adults, kungafani ne kids ozithenga ngemali ephezulu bubuncinci. Leyo nto ke idala into yobana sibone i-kids zihlika ngeprice, ne-young goats zazama nokho ubambelela zanyuka kancinci kanjalo ne-adults. So bekuyinto ebesiyilindele because besike sabona uba buninzi uboya and i-demand ibikhona ibingalingani noboya besinabo. Into ebesiyilindele nokho besingalindelanga uba yehle kakhulu, njengoba kokwenzekile sehle ngayo 4%, but nokho sikwazile uyibambe nesinethemba lento yobana sizawuthi xa sibuyela umva kwi-catalog ezizayo, i-prices zizawuphinde vele zibambe of zikhuphuke because uboya abusekho obuninzi ngola hlobo. Uboya bebubuninzi gqithi sithe savala 2 days early kwi-catalog ezimbini egqithileyo, and sinethemba loba asisezukwenza lokho ngoku because ingathi inamba yoboya iya ngoku isihla, as ne-season iya isondela ekupheleni kwayo. Thank you, Mohair.
I think we can move to the first slide to get things going. We see we offered 500 lots yesterday. We sold 490 lots, which is 98% clearance. And there was roughly about 10-15 bales not sold. What I've done is, especially in the beginning when there was downward pressure, yet on especially the kids, with everything that is fine, 27 micron and finer, we attempt to keep it above the 700 Rand level. So everything that was a bit below that, I've declared not sold. And I think it was quite successful that at the end we've cleared most of the kid mohair on that level. Keeping in mind that actually the biggest pressure was on the 28-29 micron group, which is also in the winter a lot of kids, most of the kids is in that group. So that also did have quite a negative yet influence. If we move to the next slide, we move to the price movement indicators. You see kids down 6.5%, young goats up 2%, but here I must qualify, some of your fine young goats also falls in this 28-29 micron bracket. That came down, but the stronger young goats, the 34-33 micron, especially 33-32 micron, that sold very well, and that went up. That's the general market indicator on young goats is up with 2%. I see most of Africa quoted as down with 2%, but that is just a matter of time differences. On adults, we quote the market up with 1%. There again, we must also qualify, although the strong adults, when I say strong adults, there's not a lot on the market. That's 37 micron and stronger. That was down yet a bit with 1%, but the other adults went up with 2%. There's a lot of adults that was testing 33, 34 micron that sold for very good prices. If we go to the year-to-year indicator, you'll see the current indicator stands at 417. That is 4% down on the previous sale. And yes, all the farmers are going to ask me, what about the exchange rate? Yes, I know the exchange rate also came, the Rand became weaker, about 5%. And but at this level, I don't think it have much of a difference or much of an influence on the first sale. We are more or less on the levels of the first sale. Of the previous sale, you remember the Rand all strengthened with 3%, and it didn't have a negative yet effect. So that shows you a very good amount. Previous year, we were stood on 252 Rand. That was the sale that was start the whole up in the whole mower market. And I remember on that first sale, there was a lot of upsets and said, because there's one buyer that came into the market, and there was all the other buyers were speculating and said, no, this is just yet a once-off, but it wasn't a once-off. A year later, we are 65% better off, as you can see there with our current market indicator of 417. If we move to the next slide, you'll see the price movement per micron. There the 24, 25 micron, down with 7.18%. 26, 27 micron, down with 5%. And it's just that because I've kept back everything that is fine below 700 Rand, that's why there was a lesser downward spiral on the 27, 26 micron group. But there you can see 28, 29 micron down with 9%. The 30, 31 micron down by 4%. That was a bit of a surprise to me. I more think of it as was more or less unchanged. I think there the 30 micron was also a little bit under pressure. Then 32, 33 micron up with 2%. I think the 33 micron was actually a bit more. And then 34, 45, 36 micron also up with 2%. And then the 37 to 38 micron, there was actually one bale of 41 micron was down with 1%. The next slide, you'll just see the same price movement, but from the non-RMS prices. And you can make the comparison if you want to. You'll see on 24, 25 micron, not much difference, R1 a kilo difference. 26 to 27 micron, a little bit more, R7 a kilogram difference. 28, 29 micron, virtually the same. 31 micron, also not a big difference, about R5. And then the 32, 33 micron, big difference, R15. And the 34, 45, 36, also a big, more to R50 a kilo. Yet, so on the stronger times where there was good competition, there was quite a major difference between the RMS and non-RMS. If we move to the next slide, you'll see there the exchange rate, the dollar. Sandile, if you could just handle that.
Right, no problem. As you can see, the dollar was sitting at 15.10 by the end of the day yesterday, which is quite a difference from the previous auction. It's a 5.45 difference. The dollar went stronger by 5.45, which is actually a good thing because it tells us that even though that we dropped by 4% in terms of the market, we were still one up better than the market by 1.45%. So it still did us quite good as an industry. The British pound still went up as well, sitting at 20.44 rand to the pound, and the euro sitting at 17.64 to the euro. The Chinese yen sitting at 2.34 to the rand. As you can see, as I've said, it was quite a strong percentage increase in terms of the percentage from the dollar, but the market was still able to hold, at least falling down by 4% against a dollar that's been strong by 5%. It was fairly a good indication that the market is still quite strong. It was just the offering that was there and the demand not so great. That's why we unfortunately saw a drop in price. Over to you, Mohair.
Right, if we can move to the next slide. There you see just a summary of the dollar. And we move to the next slide. It's actually a bit more interesting with the graphs. And you'll see there exactly what happened. We're on virtually the same level as on the first sale. And at the moment, people that is interested in that, the average price is $27.66 yet a kilogram. Where that was on the first sale, $27.43. Last sale, previous sale, it went up to $50. If we went to go to the one that all the farmers are interested in, the top prices of the winter kits. En hier moet ek dan vir Sarah op sê gelukwens, magtig. Sarah was 'n pragtige bal daai. Dit was 'n goeie stylbal, nie 'n super stylbal nie. Maar het 'n skoonopbrengs van 91% gehad met 'n 25 mikron, 25.1 mikron. En jy sal sien daar Martin Troeter en eer daar in die tweede plek was weer 'n superbal, maar as 'n 26 mikron, so 1 mikron sterk is sterker, maar dit was 'n beter kwaliteitbal, ook met 'n skoonopbrengs van 91%. Soos dit wys jou daar, dat het uitgeleverd op al twee pryse op R880. En ek wens julle regtig baie geluk, dit was uitstekende twee bale. Dan daar, die volgende plek is Roffie van der Merwe van Aberdeen. Roffie Junior, net R1 onder. Dus ons sien, Roffie is ook op 'n 26 micron. So 'n bietjie swakker skoonopbrengs, hy was op 85%. En dit is ook daai rand 'n kilogram dinges verskil gemaak het, maar ook 'n superbal. Mense, dit is die beste 3 bale wat ons nog hierdie seisoen bemark het, is pragtige bale, en ek moet die eienaars geluk wens onder hierdie omstandighede sulke kwaliteite produseer, is that takes some doing. Daar het ons Roffie se tweede bal, daar ook het ons gedink het spesiale vermelding verdien op 760 en dan ons bin op 755. If we can just move to the next one, to the young goats, to the next slide. Ons wil sien daar C.S. Reynolds van Kamperskraalboerdery daar van Beaufort West. Yes, ek sê as ek daar na jou skeersel kyk, dan is die wêreld nie lekker by julle nie. Maar dis wat EGT in jou skeersel doen. Jy kon daar 'n bal jongbokhaar geïdentifiseer het wat 26 mikron toets, wat ook die topprys was van die dag, teen R725. Baie geluk, het wys jou wat kan gedoen word. Die HOF bin daar so die tweede plek, dan weer Sarah du Plessis, jy sal sy naam heeltyd sien, was 'n pragtige skeersel. Die skeersel het ook die hoogste gemiddeld gehad vir die dag, van net onderkant R600 'n kilogram, dan weer 'n bin van HOF en dan meneer Philips van Turkestad, wat daar op R660 geleed vir 28 dinges mikronbal jongbokhaar. If we move to the next slide, the 5 best adult prices. Soos ek gesê het, daar so by Sarah du Plessis is hier so omtrent in elke ouderdomsgroep baie goed gepresteer. Hoogste prys vir grootbokhaar, daar vir 'n 30 mikronbal grootbokhaar R560 'n kilogram. Weer ons bin afdeling 490, dan weer Martin en Heintroeter op 472, dan Mr. Keeley from Grahamstown at 470, and Gary Phillips from also from Grahamstown. The same Phillips as John Phillips, the son from Turkestad, also at the top price of 50 micron of R470 for his adults. If we move to the next slide, is your overall buyers statistic. This is one that bothers me a little bit. You'll see West Samuel buying 41% of the market, and Stukken 51. That means that the two processors is moving closer to the 80% bracket. That just shows you that the smaller buyers were a bit out of the market. And that's for one concern that I have, that especially on the adults, it was basically the two processor that is buying everything, and the rest of the buyers very much quiet. Alice Conacher did brought her, she's usually around 3%. She bought her quantity, but Sudwiller was a little bit more quieter than the previous sale. He had a huge impact on the previous sale, buying here around about 10%, and you can see he dropped down to 7%. I'm very thankful for what he did, but that did have an impact on the market. And Moses Falls is also usually buying here around about 10%, and he was also down by 7%. New England just bought the pick of a crop here and there, but here by the end of his sale he was very quiet, and I expect him to be on that top bales, and he wasn't in that top bales. So, but he just told me that he was filled up. So that did play a major role yesterday, but I think the next sale will be a little bit smaller, not much. It is just that we've closed 3 days earlier again. And I think the moment when there's a bit of a relief of the pressure, I think the City Club is presented on the Monday. It's also a lot of Mohair. And you must realize that the buyers are spending in those 3 days over 80 million rand. That must be financed by the South African banks. And and as you say, that is virtually double from a year ago. You can imagine if you go to your bank and you say, no, you want your overdraft to be doubled. It's not an easy task. So we mustn't just move the blame to the buyers. I think they do their best under the circumstances. And overall, I think we must be very satisfied with the average prices of Mohair. People are still better than the end of the summer season prices. And this is the winter season with more inferior qualities. And I can tell you, you can see the influence of a drought in the clips. The clean yield is really not up to standard. There is we use 80% as the norm, where the average is for Mohair, and you can go and look in your sale report, it's there. The majority of the guys are below 80%, and there's even the real worst case scenarios as guys as in the 60%. And that also did have an influence on yesterday's sale. I must say yesterday's sale was the worst of the season so far. Hopefully that is not a sign for things to come, but it was all the negatives that had an influence yesterday. But don't panic. The demand for Mohair is still good. It's not the beginning of the end. You can carry on. You can buy goats if you want to. We are selling everything, and I can't see that we will see any problems for the rest of the season. Sandile, perhaps you can just end off for our clients.
All right, Mohair. I think, as you've said, that the market is still very good. The indication is us being able to clear 98% of our offering. It's quite good if you look at the circumstances that we had. I'm very positive that the market is still going to be strong. We're going to end off the winter season in quite good numbers, looking at the forecast of how things are going. And yeah, let's continue farming. Let's continue buying goats. Let's continue rebuilding this Mohair industry and making everything strong. Just a side note, our next auction is going to be on the 19th of October, 2021. That's going to be our fourth auction for the season. And we wish all the clients that are going to be there all the best. And we will hope to see the market pick up again and getting strong again from the fourth auction onwards. From my side, that is it. Have a lovely day. Thank you and goodbye.
Dankie Sandile. Ek dink van my kant af ook. Ek gaan probeer om volgende keer weer 'n slag 'n koper ook op die groep te kry. Ek moet sê, omdat ons so laat in die aand klaar maak en die kopers almal geweldig besig is dit baie moeilik om een van hulle op die op so verslag te kry. Maar ek gaan my bes probeer, wat ons slag 'n bietjie van hulle perspektief af ook oor. So is dan ook totsiens van my kant af en alle seën vir julle.